All right, welcome in everyone. Draft night, Wednesday, April 30th, last day of the month, 2025. Ron Her and Brandon Cooley, we're back. Lots to talk about. We have drafts. We have a lot of stuff going on in the basketball world, in the hockey world. Some stuff going on in the baseball world. Some actual good developments for me, not so good developments for Brandon. There's been some text going back and forth, so lots to get into. Let's get into it. I went first last time. You go first. What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? It is a rainy day. I needed to get a new make your own six pack, so I braved the storm. I decided to get out in the rain, and my God, is it flooding here in
You
Prosper.
crazy
But it
bastard.
was worth it because you know what? Someone's got to do it. So, what I got today and what we're drinking is Community's Strawberry Shortcake Golden Ale. I love a good golden ale and a golden stout. Golden stouts are probably up there as a top three choice for me in the stout world if I'm going to pick one. But regarding this beer, I've actually never had this one. So I had the cinnamon snickerdoodle last week. I've of course had funnel cake. I've had all of their fun flavors, but this is new, so we're about to find out. And it is a 5.5%. I don't love that. I don't love that. It's a very fake strawberry flavor.
Eesh.
The vanilla flavor on the back also tastes very fake, and it just smells like a bad beer. I'm gonna drink it. It's gonna be fine, but we can put this on the don't drink again list for sure.
Oh man, and that's because to tell you, but all of the community beer companies watching this on a live stream. So unfortunate. We were
Crap.
just about to sign our first sponsorship deal. That is now out the window.
Look, here's the deal. I'm not buttering anybody's bread. If the beer's not good, I'm gonna call it like it is. Okay. If the beer's good, then great. But maybe this will be their moment to say, you know what, Brandon and Ron, that podcast has really taken off. We need to listen to what they say. Let's just kill that from the line. And maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, you suck on that community.
Yeah.
We showed you.
What are you drinking?
So I debuted this on the Draft Night After Dark live, but I wanted to, for a couple reasons, I wanted to put this on the pod. So reason one, it's Celestial, probably might be my favorite brewery going, and number two, so last week I had the Sell the Team Hazy IPA. This is Snakes on a Planet Fruited Sour, and this artwork, I love this freaking brewery so much. Um, just yeah, what they do is so freaking cool. Every one of their beers has customized, really cool artwork that's done by local DFW artists. Anyway, so this is a fruited sour, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. What more could you want? I'm trying to find the 5.2% alcohol.
It sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. I love sours.
Yeah, me too. And this is one of the best ones I've ever had. Here's the coloring for it. So it looks like Kool-Aid.
That is a strong color. That is good. Yeah, mine's just golden. There's not even any red color, which as far as I guess the FDA is concerned, no more food dye in this stuff anyway. So maybe they're ahead of the game.
Um, so we're getting more and more into sour season, right? So it's good. It's good for the summer. It's good for the warm weather. Um, yeah, I don't.
Martin House Sourfest is right around the corner. I got to verify dates, but that is my favorite brewery event of the season. Let's see when they got it this year. Martin, if I can spell
Live coverage of
Sourfest.
Brandon Googling.
I'm here for the people. This is important. This is important. They actually don't have the dates listed this year, but I think I mentioned this on a previous pod. But when I went a couple of years ago, they of course partnered with Best Made the pickle beer, which is just delicious. But they had a mustard Best Made beer, and it was so incredibly good. It was so freaking good. I was shocked. I was taken aback. I had no expectation for the beer being good, and it ranks as one of my favorite weird flavored beers. It was so freaking good.
That sounds disturbing, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna say it's bad, buddy. Do you not like yellow mustard though?
I love mustard of all kinds.
Then there you go. Then you'll love the beer. I would stake my entire podcast career on you liking that beer.
Yeah, the thing is, I love brisket too, but I wouldn't want a brisket beer. I don't know. There's something weird about that.
Have you had a brisket beer?
One doesn't exist to my knowledge.
Then I'm gonna send an email to Martin House right now. Tell them to make a brisket beer and call it the Ron.
Uh,
Okay,
I'm already disturbed.
that's what's gonna happen.
So speaking of sours, have you been to or was it Beard Science over there in the colony?
Beer science, yeah.
Yeah. So they,
With the truck
yep.
yard. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan of the truck yard. Their sours are okay.
Okay.
When you're used to a Martin House level of sour or like the one with Celestial that you're drinking right now, they're more flavor forward. While I think Beard Science does a really good job with the level of sour and that side of it, I don't. I feel like they're missing something on the flavor side of their beers. They have one coming out that's they said it's got 2 more years in the barrel. I forget which one it was, but it sounded amazing. I asked for it, and they said it's not ready yet, which was a big bummer. But I love the truck yard, man. That the one in the colony they did a really good job with. So we go pretty often as weather gets better. The kids really going because my daughters love dogs. So we find a seat and they just have a run of the place, and that's fine with me. Go have fun, pet the dogs, make some friends.
Yeah, it is a really cool spot. I do not take my dog because he's a maniac, but
Yeah.
as soon as our boy Easy gets him trained up, we'll be taking him out there to the quite a bit because that's actually not too far from the house. I just had a giant lightning strike right outside. Um, I wanted to tee you up real quick. So we're talking about beer and all that good stuff. You want to tee up a really cool event that's going on this weekend that I'm excited about?
I sure do. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this Saturday at the Frisco Fresh Market, right there at John Elliott in Maine, we've got the 13th annual Frisco Streets Food Truck Festival. It is going to be, we got 16 food trucks, we've got vendors, we've got live music, we've got beer. That's going to be, so we've got Benny Keith, who's going to be our distributor for the aluminum can bottles, which is Michelob and Bud Light. But we'll also have, I believe, Austin Eastsiders Crackberry out there. Is that Austin Eastsiders?
I think so. Or is it Bishop?
Or is that Bishop Arts? That's Bishop. That's Bishop Crackberry. And then we will have in house the draft pouring by Peak Roofing. They are going to be pouring Three Empires, which is a local downtown Frisco brewery. And they have a seltzer that's on draft that is it's
Okay.
delicious. The weather's gonna be great right now. It's looking like 76, overcast with moderate humidity in the 50 to 60% range. So it is families, adults, kids, dogs. Bring everybody. We're also having the test the whiskey Texas Whiskey Society. They're going to be out there with three distillers doing whiskey tastings. So it's $20, and you get to go in. It's basically all the whiskey you can taste. It's going to be an amazing event. This is the 13th year. Last year was a little hot, but this year we've already got a lot more traction and it's getting better and better every year. So I'll be there. I'm on the committee, so I'm going to be there Friday setting up and all day Saturday till we break down. So everybody needs to come because it's going to be fun.
Okay, just to clarify, so the event is free, but there's ways to purchase drinks,
Yep.
right? Or packages or something?
Yep. Yep. We're a nonprofit. The Frisco Old Town community is a nonprofit, and so this event is to help us raise money for our nonprofit. But also, we have a scholarship fund that we give away. So there will be a young girl that will be getting a scholarship from us on stage. Actually, she will be at prom, so she unfortunately doesn't get to claim it in person, but that's okay. But yeah, beer sales, and then of course the vendor sales. That's all theirs. The food truck sales. That's all theirs. But we make all the money on the beer. We also have a speed painter this year that's going to be there doing 5 paintings that'll be auctioned off. That's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. Oh yeah, and oh my gosh, this year we also increased a lot. So we added the Frisco Arts. We're going to have an artist row. So there's going to be a handful of artists that are going to be selling their art. We also have the children's Acton, or what's called Acton Business School for Children. And so they're going to have their own little section where they're like little kids with their own little vendor tents, which is going to be incredible. It's just a good time. Starts at 11, ends at 8. Like I said, be there. It's going to be a blast.
Cool. All right. That's, yeah, can't imagine wanting to do anything else in terms of creating your Saturday plans. Yeah, drink, have some fun. Weather is good. And yeah, like you said, it's hit or miss this time of the year. So we'll definitely have a lot of hot weekends in May. Um,
Oh,
so we enjoy the good ones while you can. Um, all right, cool. So switching gears, what do you want to start with? You want to start baseball, hockey, football?
let's start with the draft. Let's start with the draft. We need to talk about the Cowboys, who they
Yeah.
selected, who they missed out on in the first round. We need to talk about the Shador slide and all the media attention that's garnering, mainly bad, and it's getting out of control. So let's get right into it. Tell me, what is your opinion of the first round pick for the Dallas Cowboys? You and I both talked about wanting wide receiver at number one, but of course, God, what's his last name? Why am I losing it? Why can't I think of his last name?
You're thinking the
Five.
wide receiver that went
Just before.
Yeah, I'm blanking too.
It doesn't matter. Anyways, you and I both wanted him for round one, and then we did not want a running back in the first round. So fortunately, they didn't do that. So they picked Tyler Booker, inside offensive lineman out of Alabama. Dude's 340 pounds. He's a big kid. So tell me what you think. What do you grade that?
Terrell McMillan is who we were talking about at the wide receiver spot.
McMillan, thank you.
I blanked on his name too. I don't know why. Yeah, I think first of all, for the record, me and you were both wrong. Obviously, we were wrong on our picks. We were wrong on our like our what do we call them? Our crazy out of the box, whatever, like long shot scenarios.
Yeah.
So we were wrong on everything. But when we talked about it, we talked about them needing wide receiver help or offense or anywhere on either line, right? So offensive line, defensive line.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did. They came out, they took a guy that has most of the stuff that you want. Physically, they call him, they say he's a dog. He's obviously a high energy guy. I don't know if you saw his interviews. They went chalk, right? They took a safe pick in their minds, and yeah, and it fills a huge position of need. So pretty happy with it, honestly. I know some people called it a reach because I think he was mocked like late first round, early second round. I think everybody that's plugged into the Cowboys. So if you think about people that follow their drafts and the analysts that we have here in the DFW area, they all received it. They thought it was a good pick. So I think we got to be happy with that. So that's the first round. A couple rounds. So they took a defensive end, a cornerback, and then a running back. So they took Jaden Blue out of Texas. So Rebel Jr. out of East Carolina. He slid and slid. So in a lot of mocks, he was like a mid second round pick, and he slid to them. They grabbed him
Mhm.
in the third. I don't know how you say that the edge from Boston College. Easy, easy. We have another easy, easy
I'm not
rocket.
going to try.
That's a good pick because you lost D-Law in free agency. You need more guys along the defensive line. Everybody said that he was great value as well. Now it's really interesting to me. What do you think about what they did at running back? So they take Gene Blue in the fifth round, Phil Maffa in the seventh round. Is that enough to address the position?
I like Jaden Blue. He was a pretty good running back at Texas. However, I still think fifth round might be a little high for running back. That's why I do prefer the Moffitt pick in the seventh
Yeah.
round, because I still think if you've got a good line, I would have rather see them invest in more offensive line, like re-solidifying moves, than going for a higher round running back. Because I've talked about this before, but Rico Dowdle's a great example. He was undrafted, and he's not a top 10 running back by any stretch. He's still pretty damn good, especially for not being drafted at all. So I think a sixth, seventh round guy would have been just fine. So we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but he actually had one of the lower grades from NFL.com for the Cowboys. They gave him a C+ for that pick. But before we talk more about Jaden and down further, I do want to ask what your opinion was, because you're right. A lot of analysts and a lot of people locally said, yeah, this is a good pick for Tyler Booker. But did you see Micah Parsons' reaction during the live coverage? What do you think about his look of disappointment?
Not surprised, but if we go, so we have history with this. Micah Parsons' reactions to Cowboys draft picks. We think back to 2 years ago, and the Cowboys, they were at the back end of the first round, and they select Monty Smith, the big defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I think he came out of Michigan, I think. Parsons was over the moon. He was so thrilled. He basically said, I got my Robin along the defensive line. This guy's going to eat up all the blocks. That way it frees me up to go attack the quarterback. It helps us out in the run game. And that has not panned out at all. From that perspective, I'm like, okay, maybe we shouldn't care or listen to what Micah Parsons has to say about who we draft, because that was a big ass miss. Yeah, he seemed disappointed. He's not, the end of the day, like, it is what it is. He seemed to turn around though once Booker had his interview, and you got to see some of his personality. That seemed to change Micah's mind. So he definitely seems, from a personality standpoint, from a motor standpoint, he seems like a Parsons type of guy. So I think as he gets to know him, he'll be glad that pick was made, and it makes me more excited about bringing somebody on like that. He's a leader, man, and this offensive line needs leadership.
Yeah. They need a vocal voice. But you did say at the beginning of this that we were just wrong in the draft. We were wrong about the first round pick, but we did say our top three needs were going to be wide receiver, or top four: wide receiver, offensive line, edge, and cornerbacks
Yeah.
or defensive back to some degree. I think we really did address those in the first few rounds. So overall, I'm really thrilled with the draft. And then they got a little bit more defensive help on the back end of the draft with some defensive linemen and
Yeah.
linebackers. So overall, is there anybody out of this draft class that you're like over the moon about on the pick?
No, I think it's just solid across the board. And I am excited about the potential of a 1-2 punch of a Moffa and Jaden Blue because Blue strikes
Mhm.
me more as a Tony Pollard type of guy that has a ton of juice, can break a long run at any time, and the Cowboys haven't had that since not even Pollard's last year. Really, the year that he was still backing up Zeke was the last time the Cowboys had that kind of
Yeah.
explosiveness. So that's what I'm most excited to see is another element, another weapon added to the Cowboys offense. Now, speaking of weapons, we knew wide receiver was a big need. McMillan went off the board, and the Cowboys decided not to address it at all in the draft. Um, what do you think they have to do something now via trade, or do you think they're really willing to go into the season with whoever Jonathan Mingo being their wide receiver too?
No, I think they need to address it, but there are a lot of rumblings right now around the league that Amari Cooper is coming back to the Cowboys. Now, he's a little bit older. He was incredibly productive for Dak. They had a really good connection. So I think with his veteran ability, if he were to come back, I think with his veteran knowledge, his route running ability, his ability to make tough catches, I think he would be another good option because when he and CD were on the same team for what, 1 season, two
Yep,
seasons?
2 years.
So they already know how to play together. I think that'd be a fine pick, but yeah, no, they have to do something different and make a splash. But we know the Cowboys don't make splashes in free agency. They haven't in years, and they probably won't anytime soon. And I also don't think Amari Cooper is a splash move either. I think that's a decent move for an aging wide receiver.
I think that's near zero. I think yes, he had a connection with CD and Dak. Yes, he generally knows the offense and how they play, but he had big time issues with Jerry in the front office, right? So they were at odds during COVID about getting vaccinated and all of that stuff, and I think it just left a bad taste in the mouth of both sides. So I do think that's just rumors. Is it absolutely out of the question? No, but I think it's being a little overblown in terms of the likelihood of that getting done. The other thing that we're hearing a lot about is trade rumors. And the reason why we're hearing about it is because Jerry's basically saying it straight out of his mouth. So he alluded to that before the draft, as Jerry often does. He even alluded to it after the draft, saying, "Hey, we're working on a couple big things." Now, Jerry being Jerry, is that bullshit? Is it just him trying to rile up the fan base and get headlines? Probably. But man, I have to think something's happening behind the scenes to address this somehow. Even if it doesn't get done, I have internal hope that they're at least trying to add a piece.
What pieces are out there that would be a big move as far as the league's concerned regarding the wide receiver
Yeah,
position?
it would have to be trade.
No, I know, but who's out there? Who do you think would be trade bait? Who would we get rid of, and who do you think would be a fit here? Now, of course, Trayvon's been trying to get Stephon Diggs here basically since he's been drafted. Stephon's fine. I don't know if he'd be a good fit for this team, but I want a big bodied, just mean wide receiver, like a Mike Evans style. That's what I want to see on this team. Someone who's able to work the outside, but can run crossing routes, can just body the smaller linebackers and defensive backs. I want somebody like that. And there's not really anybody that I can think of that they would be able to go for without spending a shitload of money. So I'm not sure what they have in the works, but I also do believe that Jerry Jones is one of the best owners regarding placating the fan base and telling them what they want to hear just to keep the pressure down and then not do a damn thing about it.
So what if you could go get Mike Evans?
I would love that. He's been a thousand yard receiver for what the past 7 8 years. Sure, go get him. Do you know something?
I just asked because they have an abundance of receivers, right? So their first round pick was Buka, one of the guys that we wanted. Aging Mike Evans, and they have the kind of the next guy that they drafted. I would think they might be more amenable to letting him go if he were to offer significant draft capital. It could happen. While I like those types of guys, I don't think they fit that well with Dak because he just has never shown he's never shown that kind of touch to deliver balls in traffic to big guys, right? So him and Dez did not work out at all. Tony was perfect at this, right? He would be like, okay, get in the red zone, Dez run the fade route, and he would just lay it in right over the top. He would throw jump balls
Mhm.
to Dez all the time. Dak has never been that guy, never shown much willingness to do that. So has he had a ton of those guys? No, but it just hasn't really seemed what they've gone after. So I don't know if it would work that well, but I think it's you got to take a shot somewhere. I mean, you're only going to have this team and this window open for so long. And right now the window's not open. But if you go get somebody, maybe there's a chance that window does open. But if not, we're just wasting away the end of Dak's career. Might as well rebuild. So I'd be cool if they took a shot.
That brings up a question for me, though. So, are you suggesting that wide receiver is the only thing missing on the chessboard here to make them a contender, or is there what else? What else would we need to crack that window open further to actually make a run? We all know that we're not going to make a run, but hypothetically, if we could, wide receiver for sure. What other pieces do we need to be considered a
Yeah,
contender?
I think the biggest hole is on the defensive line. It's never been addressed. The Cowboys have not addressed it in the past decade. And they still haven't addressed it. They tried to address it with Monty Smith, it didn't work out. So to me, until you get stouter and more physical and bigger on the defensive line, you have no shot. How many times have we seen the Cowboys get to the playoffs and then somebody just runs all over them? It happens time and again. They get destroyed. I'm sorry, you're not beating the Philadelphia Eagles with this defensive line in the playoffs. You're not beating any of these contenders. And just the last time the Cowboys were in the playoffs, Aaron Jones destroyed them. Um, so I don't even want to see what Saquon would do to us in the playoffs. So that's the missing piece. If they go out and they get a badass, Jerry called him a war daddy, they get a big ass war daddy to shore up the middle of that line, that starts to open the window, right? You get that, you get your wide receiver too, then I could start believing. But until that happens, I'm like, you're a pretender, not a contender.
How would you feel if maybe instead of inside defensive linemen, they went with a Nick Bosa? There's been some talk about Cowboys making a trade for Nick Bosa.
No, no, I think he's more of a direct Lawrence replacement than a true run stopper, inside interior defensive eater. So I just don't think. I mean, that would make headlines. That's Jerry's type of move. I think it makes the Cowboys a contender on paper and creates a lot of headlines and a lot more talk. But I think out in the actual football field, I don't really think it moves the needle that much. Who would you want them to go get? What would change? What would move the needle for you?
Everybody wants a big, flashy player, but honestly, I want like a Byron Jones type cornerback. I want someone who's not going to be a ball hawk necessarily, going to get you a lot of flashy plays like Trayvon Diggs did with catching the football, running it back, yada yada. But I want a true lockdown island of a cornerback that doesn't matter what receiver you put on him, he's going to be able to cover. He's going to be able to make up ground. He's going to be able to defend passes and have good pass breakups. That's what I want. I think if you've got someone who truly cannot get the top taken off of him and lock down half the field, that makes your safety play better. That helps with the run game and screens because then your linebackers don't have to drop in coverage. You don't have to play as much nickel. And so that's what I want. I think a wide receiver, an inside defensive like one technique, and then a lockdown corner. If we could get those three things, I think we got a chance.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. But those are three big asks because for me,
They're all money players.
yeah, they're all premium positions. Inside defensive tackle is not really premium position, but outside corner is definitely a premium position, and wide receiver is definitely a premium position. So those are huge asks and huge holes going into the season. Like honestly, we'd be fine with just an average corner. That's what we'd like. Let's start. We have nobody to start at nickel. And we have one healthy cornerback that's startable, right, going into the season. I'd be happy with anybody that can at least hold their own. But those are the holes. You're exactly right. Those are the holes until they address those. Yeah, they're not a true contender. Outside of the Cowboys, the big story the whole weekend was Shitter Sanders, his slide. When we were talking about that last week, you mentioned thinking he was like a top 15 guy. I was like, he's being mocked in the back end of the first round, which I think makes sense. Not even close. Not even in the same ballpark. Yeah, man. How surprised were you when he didn't go day one and then day two?
Yeah, the first round, you're right. After doing a little bit more digging and seeing a few more mocks, I wasn't as shocked that he didn't go round one. But then, yeah, as day two went along and he still wasn't picked up, and then all of a sudden we're into round four and then round five, I'm thinking, is this guy going to even be drafted at this point? What is happening? So then, of course, the questions get asked internally. Why is he sliding? What do these coaches and front offices know that we don't? what's actually going on here? And there's been a lot that's come out regarding the way he showed up to team meetings. He wasn't prepared. He's cocky and arrogant, which I mean, look at his dad, prime time. I'm sure there's a little bit of genetic code. Oh, hello, puppy. Genetic code for that. But at the same time, blew my mind that he went down that far. So I really need to see a little bit more behind the curtain about what these front office members know. What are your thoughts on this? Where do you think he was going to go?
Yeah, I agreed he should have been late first, but just because, and we talked about this actually when we were live on Thursday, the late first was all teams that had quarterbacks. But it made more sense for him really to go early second. But yeah, when he didn't get picked up day two, it became clear something else was going on. And then the news started to come out. You sent me some text of stuff that I didn't know about. And then I was like, yeesh, like that sounds pretty bad, right? Talking about his interview with the Giants, the lack of prep, all of that stuff. And then I started to see some people leak that he wasn't even on most teams' boards, which is insane. Like they were not going to draft him. So I don't know. It became the talk of the draft, and we were just waiting to see who would take him. Was there a point at any point where you like, okay, now it makes sense for the Cowboys to take him?
Yeah, if he would have been there, yeah, I was hoping he slid. I was hoping he slid to 12 because while I think we got linebacker there, I think having a potential quarterback for the future would have been a great value pick, especially someone who was originally rated so high. But as more people started talking about it, I don't know if it was you who sent me the story, but I did see a story where he showed up at one meeting, and so not only was he not prepared, but he had his headphones around his shoulders the whole time, around his neck, had music playing out of him, had his entourage behind him, and kept showing the watch and talking about that. And I love the swagger. I love the confidence. Like I love the outward appearance of it. I think it's fun. And I think if it was just strictly like a media play, cool. But I've got a feeling that's going to translate to the locker room and on the field to some degree because he's also bitching about not having a running game, his teammates not doing well enough to protect him. And then as we hear more analysts start breaking down his game, apparently his arm strength really isn't that good. His escapability is less than it should be for a mobile quarterback. And let's not forget, he's not playing in the SEC. If he was playing in the SEC against good defenses, he probably would have gone in the fifth round. So it's all things considered, he probably went where he really should have. And now the Browns are getting a much cheaper quarterback.
First of all, I just want to say that the way he showed up to that meeting is exactly the way you show up to networking meetings. So I just want the crowd to know that you show up with your entourage, your headphones
Absolutely.
around your neck. That's if you see Brandon in person, that's exactly what you're going to run into. I agree with most of what you said. The thing is, like for me, had he showed up prepared, had he showed up with the right attitude, had he showed up humble, I do think I think he's a second round quarterback because you're right. There's not enough tape out there against really good football teams to say, okay, he's for sure a first rounder, right? He's not an SEC. He was a small school guy, and yes, he is not mobile, right? His comp is Jared Goff. He's pocket guy. He's thread the needle guy. He has touch. He's a hell of a thrower, but he's not what everybody and what the league is moving to these days, which is these ultra athletic, ultra, they can move, they can run, they got the read option, all of that stuff. He doesn't fit that mold. He's old school. He's more of the so we already said Goff, but the other guy that he reminds me of, there's a couple guys. He actually reminds me a little bit of Phil Rivers in terms of he has decent arm strength and just the touch that he has with the ball. That's what I really like, right? He knows how to throw the ball in each situation, how to get it over the linebackers. He knows when to throw the back shoulder, all of that stuff. So that's why I like him. But yeah, if you don't have the film and then you have all of this off the field attitude issues, it's just not worth it. Now, talking about the Browns, so have you seen their quarterback room?
Yeah, five. They got five quarterbacks, and they got because what Kenny Pickett's in there. They got Joe Flacco. You got Deshaun Watson. You've got now Shadur. Who's who am I
The
missing?
quarterback that they drafted 2 rounds earlier, the Gabriel guy.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So that was questionable that they took him because also all the press that Dion got saying there was a handful of teams that he would not allow his son to go to. If I were a betting man, I would imagine Cleveland Browns are one of those because quarterbacks go to Cleveland to die. Look at all the young quarterbacks that have been drafted by them over the past however long. There's really no sample size. It's the entirety of their run as an organization. Quarterbacks do not do well there. And so I don't think there's any chance unless they got him as trade bait. If they thought, you know what, this is a great player to pick up from a value perspective, we need another wide receiver, we need a defensive end or whatever. And this maybe Shador could be a good trade bait. I respect that play. But yeah, drafting two quarterbacks in just as many rounds from each other was head scratcher.
Yeah, to say the least. To say the least. And the fact is, not only did they draft two quarterbacks, but they traded up to get Sanders after already drafting a quarterback. I don't know, man. It's that one is yeah, head scratcher is the right word. Anything else on draft?
Nope. I'm really excited about the number two pick, the edge guy. He had 16 and a half sacks and 20 total tackles in the senior season. He led the ACC in sacks. So I think he'll be a good fit, and I think especially if they do use Micah Parsons more on the edge versus on the linebacker position, I think we'll do pretty well with him on the outside.
Okay, so good job, Cowboys, I think is the overall message. We covered NFL. You want to switch to basketball?
Yeah, let's talk NBA Finals. There has been some interesting storylines that have come out. Some of the matchups have been different than maybe I would have expected them to
Yeah.
go. So, where do you want to start with the NBA
Let's
Finals?
start with Luka and the Lakers. So they are on the cusp. They're about to get booted out. They are down 3-1. Um, they've looked. I mean, last game was close. The game before that was frankly a blowout. Um,
Yep.
so there's a lot going on. So first of all, apparently Luka was sick. He contracted some kind of stomach virus from his kid. And so I don't know. I don't know. That's the issue, right? We're dealing with so much new in terms of new team, new teammates, new system. Is he 100% healthy from his calf? And then you factor in this virus thing. I don't know. How much can you judge him during this playoff run? How much are you judging him?
Pretty strongly. It's not like he doesn't have a good supporting cast around him. Now, I understand if you're sick, there are definitely some things where maybe you can't contribute to the highest level. But when you've got guys like LeBron and Reeves around you, I have a hard time using that because we saw Dirk in a flu game. What happened there? We saw Michael Jordan in the past with this flu game. What
Yeah.
happened there? So I don't want to diminish that he was sick, but I also don't want to use that as a crutch to say, look, he was sick, so he played like shit. Because frankly, he hadn't played like shit. He's played pretty well, all things considered. But I don't. I'd be surprised if they can pull this to a game seven.
Now they're done. Whether it ends tonight, it doesn't. They're done. But yeah, that's I do think it's a little bit overblown. I'm like, okay, we're everyone's criticizing Luka. The dude had 38 points. What are we talking about here? Well, sure, Anthony Edwards had 40, but it's not like this guy's going out there being a complete bum. The team has major structural issues. They don't really have a great interior presence. Austin Reeves has been god awful, really on both sides of the ball, but on defense, my God, they went at him over and over again the other night, and
And he's on skates. He's on skates every play.
yeah, he really lost them the game. He was atrocious on defense. He bricked a bunch of threes. He was just bad. So yeah, I think there's.
So are you suggesting if they still had Anthony Davis that they'd be doing better?
So I texted my group chat. I was like, the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves for Anthony Davis this offseason, because
That'd be
that's
hilarious.
what they really need. At the end of the day, this is a new team. Yes, they have talent, but is it optimized? No. Like there's a lot of changes that need to happen, and there's a lot of changes that will happen. Um, but credit, man, credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Naz Reid has been fantastic. Edwards has been fantastic. McDaniels has been good. We saw them. We know they're a solid team, and they've just right. They've gotten better. They're more together. It's a team that really complements each other well. But so credit to them. But yeah, I don't know. Has Nico been vindicated? Some people are saying that now, based on
No, not yet. God, until we can see Anthony Davis play a full season or some semblance thereof, no, he's not vindicated.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I agree. Lakers are going to be done. The Wolves are going to finish them up probably tonight. So there's been some domination. Oklahoma, which I don't think anybody's surprised that they ran through the
Yeah.
Grizzlies, but they had that game on, was it game three, where they were down by 29 points to the shit Grizzlies and then came back and won it, which I thought that was incredible. Do you think the Thunder are going to just run the table and take it to the finals?
Yes. Yes. I think they're a
Yes.
better team than. Yeah, I think they're a significantly better team than anybody left. Probably the closest team is Minnesota, in terms of just the level that they're at talent wise. But even then, I think there's a significant
Mhm.
gap. Um, yeah, so sadly, yeah, I think it's going to be OKC, man. It's going to be OKC, and then we'll see if Cleveland's for real. I still don't believe in them. I need to see more. So it's looking like OKC Boston.
Yeah, but the Cavs they put it on the Heat. The Heat also are bottom of the barrel
Oh,
for the Eastern Conference, so I'm not too surprised about that. But I think the Pacers look good against the Bucks, and they won 4-1. So there's a they the Bucks were. But you can never count Giannis out. But I think it's going to be Celtics Thunder for the finals, which I hate seeing the Celtics in another finals. But let's be real, Jason Tatum and Brown have been such an incredible duo for that team. I think I read today that Jason Tatum's been in the finals run every single year he's been a player. He's got 16 more wins than the next team, which is the Golden State Warriors. So he's got 70 playoff wins in his young career.
yeah.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, so we'll obviously see if somebody. I'm excited to get to the conference finals and see how they match up against Cleveland and see if Cleveland's a real threat. But I'll say this has been probably the most fun first round I've ever seen. I'm having so much freaking fun,
Agreed.
man. That Lakers or the Knicks Pistons series is unreal. I am soaking every second of
Yeah.
that up. That is old school basketball. Plenty of defense, plenty of they're agitating each other, they're fighting. It's just man, that's a blast to watch. The Rockets Warriors has been the same thing. You have Dylan Brooks on one side, you have Draymond Green on the other side. Just wait for the fireworks, and it's every game they're getting into it. Draymond damn near got thrown out. He got a tech and then a flagrant foul, and it's just been really good basketball. Denver and the Clippers. That series has been amazing. I picked Denver to win the series, and I looked like an idiot after three
So
games.
that
And now they're up 3-2. So man, I'm having so much fun. I've watched basketball all day, every day, all night, every night. So yeah, my Mavs fandom is gone, but I'm still an NBA fan. I'm having so much fun. And yeah, I hope this continues, man, because I'm loving it. The one thing I will say, um, sometimes I'm watching these games and it's so much fun watching the playoffs and watching playoff basketball, and it's so exciting. And man, I watched for so long. So after we won the championship in 2011, we watched it. It felt exactly like it does now. We would watch the playoffs. Mavs had no chance, so we were just watching everybody else, right?
Mhm.
And then finally, that was us again. We were back, and it was us in the
Yep.
playoffs, and it was us in the second round, and we were beating teams, and then we were in the comp. It speaks of a run way too short. We had that for a couple years, and it should have been way longer. And now we're right back up. We're right back to watching other teams sitting on our ass on the couch, and that freaking sucks.
It does what? In that same arena with our hockey team, we aren't just sitting on our couch watching everybody else. We're watching the stars put in some work. And I was really concerned the first few games of this series with Colorado because they did not look good. After 3 games, we were up 2-1. I don't know if I shared the stat with you, but in that 3 game stretch at that point where we were up 2-1, the Stars had only had a lead for 66 seconds out of 3 full games. They were leading for 66 seconds, which is just mind blowing, which says that they're doing what they need to do when they need to do it. But the goalkeeping has been just horrendous. The offensive side of the puck has not been there. But then finally last night, was that last night, 2 nights ago? They win a game 6-2, and they scored on the opening puck drop. It was
Yep.
incredible. White Langford gets a pass and just buries one in the back of the net within the first, I don't know, was it 17 seconds? And I was like, all right, we're here, we're back. They're going to do something. So now the Stars are up 3-2. We got one more win we got to get, and then we make it to the next round. And I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. But God help me that we don't play the freaking Golden Knights. I do not want to play Vegas. I'll play anybody else but them, but it looks like we're probably going to play them.
Yep. Yeah, that has a little bit of Mavs Heat vibes. But yeah,
For sure.
it's funny. I was talking to Kelly Booth last week about foreshadowing this a little bit in the sense that offensively, that was the side I was more unsure of, but we were talking about the goalkeeping and how like a lot of it was really fluky. A lot of it was more defensive related than just pure goalkeeping related. A lot of it was stuff that nobody could have blocked. Man, you could have an army of goalkeepers back there and it wouldn't have mattered. There was some of it was just bad luck. So that seems to be turning, right, and regressing to the mean. And so shout out to her for all her insight on that because I was like, that makes total sense. I do think we're probably overreacting and freaking out a little bit. And so hopefully that's a trend that continues to regress. But yeah, I agree with you. I think next game's tomorrow night. Home or road? It's a road game, right?
Road game. Yep. Yep. Which we'll see what happens. I really don't want it to go to 7 games. I want Dallas just to finish it
Yeah.
off and get that security for round two. And then on the other side of the finals, it's looking like Carolina is just gonna run away with everything. Washington's looked pretty good too, but I think Carolina's just gonna run the table on the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Um, and if it does get closed out tomorrow, I am
Mhm.
planning on nabbing some tickets for the second round where I can hopefully go take some video, bring my experience to the people, and make my return to the AAC. So that's the plan.
Yeah, it's funny. We have a lot of friends that are tied very deeply into the Stars organization because we've got Kelly, who's just a huge fan. Aaron Pica has become a very large fan, but Jersey Goldman is the voice on the ice, so he's always running the mic during the games, and then Molly Mayfield does all the pictures for the Ice Girls. So we've got a lot of people that are very deep into that organization. So we got to figure out a way to get some, yeah, really good video. Whether it's maybe Molly can help out, excuse me, or figure something out because, yeah, especially for the finals, that'd be so cool.
Yeah,
That'd be so cool to make it again.
yeah. Um, okay, switching gears to the baseball world. So the Rangers are collapsing.
They're not collapsing enough.
They are sliding down the division rankings, and it's because the offense has been god awful. I sent you a stat that they had scored the least runs in baseball. Now, for a lineup that is so highly paid and so highly touted, how the hell did we get here where the Rangers can't score?
Good question. It's a really good question. I think there's a few things at play. I think there's some big heads in that lineup thinking that they're just going to come in and just swing the stick around and go yard every time because that's what we've been accustomed to with the big home run playability between Seager, Simeon, and Garcia. So I think that plays a part. Jock Peterson going 0 for what 42 also didn't help. That's not good. But fortunately, we've had really good pitching. Like that, that's been the only savior. If we had shitty pitching, that would be a completely different conversation. We wouldn't even be saying that they slid down the standings. They would be in the basement. But right now, they're right in the middle of it all. And as far as offensive production goes, they had one hell of a night last night. They put up 15 runs last night. That was a fun game to watch. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and they're gonna get on that train and just continue to ride it. But yeah, they're 16 and 14. They're they're 2 games back of first. The Mariners are currently in the lead, and just half a game back of your Astros.
Yeah, is Simeon washed?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. You mean like from an offensive side or a defensive side or
Offensive
just
side.
in general? No, I don't think so. I think he just needs to he needs to get back in the groove. I think he'll get there. I think if the other bats can get hot, he won't feel the need to carry the team. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot from the 3 guys I mentioned before is because nobody's really hitting well, that those 3 guys are trying so hard. And it's just like golf. What happens if you're like, oh man, this is farther than my club normally goes, but I really got to hit this thing hard? What happens? You
Miss
shanked
it.
in the woods or the
Mhm.
water every single time. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that with this team. So if they can just calm down, keep relying on the good pitching, and just get back to who they are as a team, I think we'll be fine.
You talked about big heads now, both figuratively and literally. So Adolis Garcia has a big head.
Dallas.
Do you think that all the steroids he took in the offseason has negatively affected his ability to make contact?
First of all, that's a really aggressive allegation that my legal team will be. You'll be hearing from them shortly. There's no proof he's done any roids now, at least
Besides his giant
maybe. Anyway,
head.
yeah, except his giant head, but he's got just as big a smile. Okay, so that's the important thing to remember here. I don't know, man. He's fun to watch when he's hot, but like I said, there's just nobody's hot right now, and I get it because what we're 30 games in, right? We're 30 games in the season. There's still 152 games to go. We got a lot of baseball to play. And I think if this first 30 games is any indication of what this division is going to look like with just a 5 game split, that's going to be a lot of really fun baseball to be watching. These series are going to have so much importance to them every time. It's not going to be just, oh crap, the Mariners are in town. We got to play them for 4 games. This is going to be crap. The Mariners are in town, and we better win at least 3 of these games. If not, we're going to lose our spot in the middle of this division. So I think there's a lot on the line. I'm really excited to see a very good division in baseball for the Rangers because I think it's going to make them better, or everybody else is going to bat the hell out of them and they're going to slip and slip.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think it really is. It's just a lot more fun when the games have stakes, especially when it's the NBA gets criticized a lot, saying that the season's just too damn long, right? Sometimes I feel that way about baseball. It's just too damn many games. And if you just have one good team, right, it makes so much of the regular season just feel meaningless. It's like, well, why do I even bother tuning in if the game doesn't matter? But in a year like this, yeah, you want to be tuned in because you lose a series, you slide down 2 spots in the division. Um, and so
Mm-hmm.
every game matters. Every game has meaning. You can see how every game affects the standings. So it makes it so much more fun. We're turning the calendar into May, and we got the first Astros Rangers series coming up here in Arlington. I know the Astros have a series against the Mariners later in the month that I'm contemplating heading down to Houston for. But a lot of the division stuff is starting to get ramped up. And yeah, even when the Rangers play the Mariners, I want to be tuned in, right? I want to be watching because I'm like, okay, how is this affecting us, right? How are we going to move up or down based on that?
Correct.
And man, it makes it a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about the rest of the season. I can't wait. I have not gotten down to the ballpark in 3 years. I'm excited to book some tickets to get back down there. Are you planning to go this season?
Yeah, I'll for sure go. I go at least to 2 or 3 games every year, and that's the benefit of there being so many damn games
Yeah.
is you get the opportunity. The tickets aren't as expensive. It's not a oh if I don't go this weekend I can't go. It's I've got several ways to make it, so that's a benefit there. So yes, I'll make it to a game. They serve one of my favorite drinks there, which is their favorite beers. I should say, Love Street by Carbach is one of my favorite beers to drink, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
So I will definitely go there, eat some hot dogs, drink some beer, and have a good time. The story in baseball, though, that still is just absolutely blowing my mind is that the best team in the league are the freaking Mets at 21-9. They've only lost one home game so far, and they are just looking so good. The only other team close to them is the Dodgers at this point, and so that just blows my mind that the Mets are good. Which, frankly, if you're going to have a fun, feel good story, that's something I could root for. They're in a different conference. They don't have very much bearing on the Rangers in general. You know what? I could be a Mets fan just to watch them go.
Yeah, they're starting to have some of those explosive games like we're seeing from the Yankees and Dodgers. So I think when I was tuned in
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, it was like 12-1 or something like that. The Mets were kicking somebody's ass. That's a whole series worth of runs for the Astros or the Rangers, and those are some man. We've seen some crazy scoring this year. The Yankees have put up several games where it looks like a football score, and I think the Yankees have the two like they have the 1 and 2 spots for I think who has the most hits in the league or something like that.
Yeah.
It's,
Aaron Judge, and then what's the other kid's name?
something with a W,
Yeah,
some long name, but yeah. So this is really the year of the high-powered offense. So I'm really interested to see, how because all the teams in the AL, especially in the West, they're more pitching oriented. So it's going to be really interesting to up against some of those teams because I don't know about you, but in the playoffs historically, I tend to like pitching oriented teams over bat oriented teams.
I agree.
So I'm interested to see how this plays out. I do think the Rangers are better than the Mariners and the Astros from a just pure talent perspective, how the rotation looks.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they match up against some of these high powered offenses.
Yeah, to your point, I do like a good pitching matchup, but I also like to see like a strong rotation and bullpen
Yes.
against a Yankees team that has hot bats. I want to see that matchup. I want to see who can overcome the other, and if you can get a quality starting with a pitcher before they get hit out of the park. That's what I always like to see in the
Yeah.
playoffs. But yeah, still lots of baseball to go. All right, so we've covered the draft, we've covered baseball, hockey, and basketball. What else we got on the docket today, Ron?
And I don't think I have anything else. I think those were the main points I wanted to hit. I don't know if you want to hit golf. Um,
Yeah, we can touch a little bit on that.
So wait, is it looking something up here?
While you're looking it up, this coming Monday, Cinco de Mayo, Ron's bet payoff is coming up, so he is taking me golfing. Have you picked where you want to go, or do you want me to make that decision?
You can make that decision.
I'll make that decision. All right, and I think we'll get some nice footage and content creation out of that round of golf. It is Cinco de Mayo, so we may be drinking margaritas on the course. We may get a little sloppy. Maybe we won't. We'll see what happens.
Um, what I was looking up. So the because I was like, I think the Byron Nelson is this weekend, and it is. So we have golf back in the DFW area, and that course is going to be quite wet for judging by what's been happening outside. Um,
We have another big soaker scheduled for Friday morning
yeah, we
too.
do. So interested to see how that plays out. But yeah, I'll be tuned into some of that. I can't attend this year. I want to go. You've been, right?
I have. I've been both when it was down in Las Colinas and then also now since it's been at TPC Quick Range.
Yeah, I really want to go. I've had most of the people I know actually have been at some point or the other, and I've never been. I really want to get down there because I've never been to a PGA event. Yeah,
Really?
sadly. I've never been to a live golf event either.
Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen. Live is a ton of fun, man. Live is so much fun. They get rowdy. It's a different environment. Like the PGA, of course, is caught up regarding the fandom side of it and the interactions from the audience, but there's still a lot of the traditional be quiet, whatever. Live, they've got music blasting, walk up songs for each golfer and playing at the tee box the entire damn round. So it's such a departure from the traditional golf scene, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it seems like a great experience. And one of the issues I've had is like some of the events that I love are no longer part of golf, right? Or at least not no longer part of the PGA. So one of them was match play down in Austin. So they're not doing that anymore. And that was always a ton of fun. And then the other one's the Waste Management Open out in Arizona. And that was the party of all parties. And so many people got wasted that I guess they just said, we're not going to do this anymore, which is, which sucks because there was that one hole where it was basically the party hole where like if you hole it, then you know beers are going flying everywhere. And that's,
Shirts are
yes,
off. It's a whole thing.
yes. And so that was a dream to go to, and now that's gone too. So I'm like, man, I don't even know. Of course, I'd like to go to a major, but it's so damn hard to go. Um, so anyway, we'll need to start talking probably next week about the next major. We do have the PGA Championship coming up. That's the one that sits, I think that's the one at Quail Hollow, right? It's not Valhalla. No, it's Quail Hollow.
Mhm.
So we can start talking about that, what our next draft is going to look like, and payoffs and all that stuff.
Love that. All right. Well, fantastic. I guess the last thing I'll say, since we're talking about golf, I already plugged the Frisco Streets Fest. I'll plug this as well. We've got the inaugural Texas North Charity Golf Tournament coming up on August 1st at Cowboys. So if anybody, whoever's listening, is wanting to golf, we still have spots available. We need sponsors. We need giveaways. Shout out to General Creek and Prosper for giving a foursome away to as a gift for a giveaway prize or a raffle prize. Shout out to Coyote Ridge for doing the same thing. And then I've got several other courses. So as we get more, I'll shout those guys out. But thank you for everybody who is participating. And if you want more details, definitely let me know.
Just shut it down.
Sweet. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Draft Night. We appreciate you being here. And for Ron Hearn, I'm Brandon Cooley. And as always, the next round's on us.